Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group, and this is your recap for April 12th. So I'll start with the S&P. Tons of eyes on the S&P. I do start basically every video, with the S&P because it is the 500 largest companies in the U.S. market. But I know it just seems like everyone is so focused on whether or not the S&P is going to kind of round the corner here, get away from this chop and move higher. If it does, great. I'll be happy that we start to move up again. But I tell you right now, there's some really great opportunities, and there's a lot of things that are just not in the S&P 500 that are either making new highs or really getting pretty close to it. So I'm going to go through some of those names, but it does kind of strike me as a little bit funny that everybody is so focused on like what's going to happen there with the S&P. I mean, look at the small caps. The small caps I talked about in last night's video. They had some further move higher. They're above everything. They've already made the turn. Are they going to go higher? I would think that this looks pretty good. You got an MACD crossover, so that's a bullish sign, and you got the 5-period crossing over the 20 and the 50. That sets up really well. And just as I said in last night's video, small caps are usually a leading indicator, and I think that's just a really good sign. So I'm not over fixated. I do look at the S&P to see what it's doing. But ultimately, that's not the end all be all for my trading. So we'll talk a little bit about the themes of the day. The casino names. The casino names have been, they just kind of go in phases. Sometimes things just are out of favor or out of rotation for a little while, but they're just so sneaky. Wynn had a big day today. That was up 3.7%. MGM, which we saw some big call buying right before the end of the close today. It actually finished off the highs, but we talked about those calls that went up right at the end of the day. I did check this morning, and they did increase open interest. I think you're dealing with now like 30,000 MGM calls that are on open interest for out in not May, but I think. Oops, sorry, this should be yesterday. Out in August, I believe it is. I don't know why that trade's not coming up right now. Oops, because I'm putting up the wrong contract, the wrong symbol. MGM -1. And then if we look at, the August 35s, I think they have around 30,000 or 28,000 open interest on those. I bought those right before the close yesterday. Not a huge position, but I figured down 3% in MGM. And then today we saw a whole bunch of call buying in some other, I call them second tier casino or gaming names. They're not all casino names, but IGT. It was kind of funny because they kind of came in rapid fire, and I bought the first one. I liked PENN. PENN hasn't really done anything. I'm about 85% out of that trade. I didn't see that they actually came off the highs pretty decently today, but I managed to take profits, and that's been more or less what this market's been about. It's been giving us good opportunities to trade every day. So I've been calling it the stick and move market. You kind of put some trades on, watch them go higher for some names, and then take a good chunk off, and then you're dealing with the you're playing with the house money, and I use that expression with the casino names, haha. But that's some call buying. So PENN, IGT, these are names that really haven't done much. Big uptrend, broke down pretty heavily. Kind of been basing here at the 200-day moving average. Seemed like a worthy shot to me. It still has to get above both the 50-day and the top of value. Again, notice that the value area is lining up pretty well with the value areas. I love it when that happens. IGT I did not take because I just couldn't own a third name today in the casino space. But anyway, that was pretty hot today. Just to kind of show you some other names. Again, so just, getting away from just the whether or not the S&P is going to move higher. I mean, look at some of these names. Zen. I was joking around on Twitter earlier about big pullback in this group last week. I'm just kidding. I mean, from the high of 50.15, down a little bit here, but I mean, so some of these names they're coming back and they're making new highs. Very, very strong in this name. My colleague Pat Harris mentioned today Coupa Software, just another proxy of names, these little software names, whether it be enterprise application or infrastructure tech or software. This group, and I know everybody's kind of been realizing this. I think some really good traders are realizing this at the same time I am as well, that this group has just been super, super strong. And they've just been consolidating here. Like, this is a great name just to talk about consolidation and look at the volume confirming. And I know, names like NTNX, these are names that I've talked about previously. These names just, they all have a similar pattern to them. Splunk is another one. So you can kind of take your pick with these names. You don't have to have 5 or 6 positions in each one of these, but they all seem to be kind of getting into that support, and it's like a pullback. A major correction or pullback never really happened for these names. So very, very strong. I do have the index, by the way, that I developed that tracks all of these names. I put this together once I kind of realized, a couple months ago, what the strength that this group had. If I can bring this up on Bloomberg, that is the business technology index that I have, and you could see that this is now back decently back the 50-day moving average. This is about 50 names that are in this this group of business infrastructure, enterprise, and application software. A couple other names just to kind of go over. Again, today was kind of a fun trading day, and I think a lot of people realize that. Even though, again, we didn't finish on the highs once again, but close to it. Square was a name that I got long a couple days ago. I thought this name, even if you were not in Square yet, this name just got into the value area. So even though I took a target in this trade today, I mentioned with Bitcoin up, you try to look for different things that are going on. Bitcoin up big. Square is one of those names where it doesn't need to have the strength of Bitcoin and the cryptos, but when it happens, it's kind of an added kicker. I thought Overstock would be a decent trade as well today. That ended up a little bit today, just as a day trade, not as really an investment. And then also, the banks are starting to report. I played BlackRock for earnings. That was a winner. I did not put on any other risk for earnings for tomorrow, but clearly good to see that the banks are starting to leg up too. I think that's just a great sign overall for the market. JP Morgan, I actually got out of my key trade today. I was long some key from last week. Again, these for me have not been huge positions, but nice little move here. The reason why I didn't stay in this, maybe I could have stayed in this another day or two because they report next week, and I'm not going to sit through earnings. So, we saw some key calls last week, and that name is up decently. What else did I do today in terms of trades? I actually took took some targets in a lot of trades today. Again, sorry for the delay, but I've got too many things open here. Again, I'm happy to show. So this was the MGM trade from yesterday. I got out of the residual position of my Newmont position. PENN, said maybe a day trade, took a couple targets in this one. I actually put on a small bearish trade in Tesla. I don't really like to play too big in that name, but I think Tesla. I'll go over the technicals in Tesla in just a second. I got out of a BAC trade that I put on yesterday. So even like SPY puts, I got out of SPY puts. I put SPY puts on right at lunchtime, just for a quick, hedge for the portfolio, and then got out of those SPY puts. I think at $1.45. I guess I forgot to post the last exit in literally like a half hour. So that's the power of the volatility. You can put on a trade very quickly when you see the VIX starting to move up. I did that right when the VIX started to ramp up a little bit. You just buy a handful of SPY puts, and you get in and out of you can be in and out of those quickly with some profit. So I like the volatility. It's really has been a fun trading environment. You just really have to be careful with your size of trading. Yeah, so I'll go over the Tesla chart. If I didn't go over this yesterday, I apologize, but we got a nice bounce at this VPOC. These VPOCs are really great to trade around. So we hit the VPOC, got oversold, and as normal with these virgin point of controls, where a lot of big, where a lot of big volume has occurred before, a lot of the times once we're out of range, we seek it out, all the way down from here, and then turned around, hammer bar on it. Now Tesla's rallied up here. I think it's a short. It can't get back into value. That's a sell signal. Unless the sell signal would be canceled if it gets to maybe if it closes above or inside value, which was, call it 301. But for now, it looks like an opportunity to short the name. I just wanted to talk really quick about another group that I've really liked the last year that's not participating right now, and that's the Chinese internet names. And what I said earlier in the trading room is just to kind of be patient. Sometimes it just takes a while for names to get going. Baba saw some two-way flow today, saw some calls and some puts. It's got to get back inside value, 179. So this group just seems to be out of favor right now. So, instead of putting on trades, what I do is I set alerts where things will get interesting again. But no need to force trades in this Chinese internet group. I think they'll come back to life, but I'm not going to force the issue right now. So it's just good to kind of talk about that different groups that just are not performing yet, but give it another week. Who knows? Couple other trades that we saw today. I talked about the gaming names. ATVI saw a nice call spread, 1x2, 1x2 call spread going out to May. I actually put out a limited risk reversal in that trade. Again, small. I don't like to buy into strength in this market. Also, some Twitter, nice. Although I don't love the Twitter calls. Sarepta, more calls went up in this one. This one I think is, for me, the target has been achieved. When I talked about this name earlier in the week, I said this was one of my favorite charts. It's gone all the way from the bottom value value to the top of value. So you could play with a runner at this point, but it could very well get outside of value and make that new 52-week high. It does have an MACD crossover, so still like it. But I think it's moved from 74 to 82 bucks. That's a beautiful looking trade. So at this point, if you're still in this one, I would be maybe taking a target and taking a good portion off, and then riding the winner for the last bit of the trade. All right, guys, thanks for watching and have a great night.